The twilight slips beneath my feet as I prepare to part. A trembling hush descending on the edges of my heart. Your face becomes a fading glow beyond the closing door. A half-remembered tenderness I can't protect anymore. The quiet of the moment hangs like frost upon the air. A fragile sign that longing can't replace what isn't there. We stand like distant seasons drifting slowly out of phase. Two silhouettes unfading in the remnants of our days. The truth arrives in silence like a whisper cold and thin. A message shaped by destiny. We cannot start again. Goodbye, the word that breaks the breath I struggle to contain. A quiet vow dissolving in the shadow of our pain. Though every part of me still aches to hold what once was true, I step into the darkness as I learn to part from you. The photographs we treasured lose their color in my mind. Their edges curling inward like the years we left behind. The smiles we shared grow distant, buried deep in winter's sigh. A testament to tenderness that time will soon deny. I gather all the memories that tremble in my palms. A fragile constellation drifting close to where it calms. But everything we carry slowly scatters in the wind. And all I have is quiet grief that settles deep within. If letting go were gentle, I would offer soft release. But love was never meant to fade with effortless peace. I give my final whisper to the night that bears your name. A farewell woven delicately through dissolving flame. Goodbye, though every trembling step is swallowed by the night. I honor what we almost were and hold it in the light. The tears that fall like whispered rain will someday drift away, but you will stay remembered in the chambers where I pray. So let the winter guide me where the fading embers lie, for love has turned its final page, and all that's left is goodbye. The night grows heavy on my shoulders as I stumble through the light. A quiet bar on empty streets becomes my only sight. Your name escapes my trembling lips in whispers fueled by ache. A habit I can't sever, though my hands are prone to shake. The bitter scent of winter hangs like sorrow in the room. A trace of what we used to be dissolving into gloom. I sip the burn of silence as it settles my veins, a fleeting warmth that mirrors all the remnants of our pain. Each memory returns to me in fragments soft and slow, a reel of fate and tenderness that only I still know. Afterglow of love you left burns faintly in my chest, a fragile ember trembling where my longing comes to rest. If only I could let you go, release you to the night, but every drunken whisper finds your shadow in its side. The glass reflects a hollow man pretending he's alright, but truth reveals its bitterness beneath the fractured light. I trace the rim with shaking hands that fail to break away, still captured by the ghost of you that lingers in the sway. I wander through the closing hours searching for a sign, a hint of who I used to be before your heart left mine. But all I find are echoes of the warmth I used to feel, a quiet ache beneath the ribs that time can never heal. If longing had a flavor, it would taste like this cold drink, a mix of grief and tenderness that keeps me on the brink. I raise a silent toast to you, to everything we knew, a final tribute whispered to the love I never grew. Afterglow, the fading light of what we couldn't keep still casts its trembling radiance where broken wishes sleep. And though the dawn may find me numb beneath its gentle glow, I'll still be chasing pieces of the warmth you used to show. So let the night unravel as the last small ember slow, for even in the darkness leaves the ghost of your afterglow. Drifts in slowly through the pale and silent room. Its fragile light unravels all the remnants of our gloom. Your shadow on the curtain fades like breath upon a glass, a fleeting trace of tenderness beginning now to pass. I sit beside the window where we used to share our days, recalling all the gentle tones that echoed in your ways. The memories dissolve into a hum too soft to hear, a whisper of your presence slipping further from my sphere. The truth is never violent, only quiet as it breaks, a subtle shift in atmosphere that everything forsakes, fading like a whispered vow, escaping from the night, fragile contradiction where the edges start to slim. Your laughter once ignited every corner of my chest, but now it drifts like distant waves that quietly come to rest. I walk across the empty floor where you once placed your shoes, the simple space, a monument to everything we lose. The echoes of your movements swirl like dust across the air, a faint reminder of the time we learned to love and care. If sorrow had a gentle shape, it'd settle in this space, a muted pulse of tenderness no tears can now replace. I breathe the fading remnants of the love we couldn't keep, a lullaby of memories dissolving into sleep, fading into stillness where our story shuts its door, a fragile silhouette of love that breathes no longer more. I'll hold the quiet kindness that you left inside my heart, then watch it drift to nothing as the dawn pulls us apart. So let the morning carry you in calm and feathered light, a final fading memory dissolving with the night. The morning drifts in quietly as though it fears the truth, a pale and fragile curtain pulled across our fading youth. Your shadow lingers faintly at the corner of the frame, a fleeting ghost of tenderness that barely holds your name. We stand in gentle silence as the daylight starts to bloom, both knowing that the time has come to leave this fragile room. Your eyes avoid the remnants of the vows we tried to say, a hesitation resting like a flower on a grave. I search for words to soften all the fractures in the air, but everything collapses into sorrow we can't bear. Farewell, the quiet word that trembles where the light has flown, a whisper meant to set you free, though I remain alone. If letting go is kindness, then I'll offer you the day, a final breath of warmth before we slowly drift away. The memories unravel like a banner pulled apart, revealing every tender seam we stitched into the heart. The laughter we once carried turns to shadows in the dawn, a soft and fleeting murmur of the life already gone. You reach to brush a tear away, but choose to let it fall, a silent act of mercy that reveals you most of all. And though the truth is painful, I can feel the kindness there, a gentle resignation shaped by sorrow we now share. If love was meant for seasons, only warm enough to grow, then ours has reached its winter with a calm descending snow. I'll cherish every tremor of the time we had to give, a quiet vow to honor you in all the days I live. Farewell, a tender ending softened by the morning sky, a fragile sigh of gratitude for days that passed us by. Though every part of you may win on all the days I live, fired vow to honor you in all the days I live. Farewell, a tender ending softened by the morning sky, a fragile sigh of gratitude for days that passed us by. Though every part of we met beneath the trembling sky, the dust still clung to you, a quiet sign that destiny had shaped our fragile view. Your smile was like a fleeting star that flickered then withdrew, a promise never meant to last, though every breath felt true. We drifted through the moments that we never understood, two souls aligned by circumstance instead of what we should. Our hands would barely touch before the world pulled us apart, leaving trails of longing etched in corners of the heart. The road before us curved into a realm we couldn't claim, a path that whispered warnings in a quiet distant flame. Fate bound, we stand divided by the choices we can't change, a love that grew in silence where our destinies estrange. If sorrow is the price we pay for moments soft and true, then let this aching memory be all I keep of you. Your voice became a fragile hymn carried by the wind, a melody so delicate it broke where dreams had thinned. We try to hold the remnants of affection close and tight, but even warmth grows colder in the absence of the light. You gazed at me with trembling eyes that knew the end was near, a look that held both tenderness and unspoken fear. We parted in a whisper like a half unraveled thread, leaving only faded vows in places we once tread. If parting was our destiny, I'll bear it with fading love can form the memories we made. The silent corridors of memories we made, where your laughter lingers faintly like a promise left to fade. The dust becomes a witness to the scars beneath my voice, a fragile tremor rising through the ruins of our choice. The winter breeze grows heavy with the sorrow in my chest, a burden shaped by fractured vows that never came to rest. Your shadow in the distance feels impossibly far now, a silhouette that trembles as I try to learn the how. But every quiet longing circles back to where you stood, an aching thread of tenderness I somehow understood. Forsaken in a world without the warmth you used to hold, I crumble in the silence where our shattered moments fold. If time could hold forgiveness in a breath I failed to keep, I'd trade my fading heartbeat just to wake you from your sleep. The nights grow sharp and restless as the truth begins to sting, a fragment of your kindness lost in every broken ring. I reach for fading outlines of the dreams we couldn't save, a thousand whispered memories collapsing like a wave. Your voice becomes a distant hymn that drifts beyond the grave, a fractured piece of longing slowly drifting far away. I try to keep the remnants of your warmth inside my bones, but every fragile effort shakes the hollows where it groans. If sorrow had a language carved in breathless winter air, it sound like every moment when I learned you wouldn't care. I hold the final fragments of the life we left behind, a broken prayer unraveling inside my weary mind. Forsaken yet I call your name across the frozen night, a desperate vow that trembles in the fading candlelight. If parting was our destiny, then let the story close, for I have loved you deeper than a trembling silence knows. So let the winter swallow all the traces of your grace. Still I wander endlessly in search of your erased face. my chest as though it guarded all my fears. Your shadow lingered quietly along the brittle evening glow, a fragile trace of tenderness the night refused to show. The memories unravel in a rhythm sharp and slow, a quiet pulse of yesterday the present cannot overthrow. Your voice remains a trembling thread in corners of my mind, a final vow dissolving into silence left behind. Every breath becomes a burden shaped by your retreat, a fragile ache that trembles through the echo of defeat. Heavenless without your warmth, the sky has turned to ash. The world collapses softly in a quiet burning flash. I search the fading remnants of the life that slipped away, a prayer carved into loneliness that trembles as I sway. The days grew cold without you, turning gentle things to stone, and all the words I never spoke return as aching moan. Your footsteps fade in memory like pages torn apart, leaving only fractured hymns within my hollow heart. I trace the fragile outlines of the dreams we used to keep, imagining your peaceful eyes in moments meant to sleep. But everything is crumbling like the frost beneath the dawn, and I remain the witness to the warmth forever gone. If sorrow had a season, it would bloom where we once stood, a garden made of broken vows and tears misunderstood. My trembling voice still reaches out to call your name tonight, but only empty silence answers back in thinning light. Heavenless, my fractured soul keeps kneeling in the rain, searching for a remnant of the love I can't sustain. If destiny abandoned us, then let my spirit fall, for I was born to hold you, even if I lose it all. So let the night devour me with its slow, relentless grace, for even in the darkness I still seek your vanished face.
The glass is nearly empty, yet the ache still overflows. A quiet burn that settles where your memory still grows. I stare into the swirling light that flickers on the floor, a trembling pulse of loneliness I cannot hide anymore. Your name slips past my tired lips before I pull it back. A careless spill of longing shaped by all the things I lack. The strangers in this silent place can hear my breaking tone, but no one knows the hollow space where I remain alone. I try to steady breathing as the night begins to spin, but every fleeting heartbeat drags your shadow deep within. Am I drowning every thought of what we couldn't be? A captive to the memories that won't let go of me. If sorrow were a river, I would sink beneath its weight. A fragile soul unanchored by the remnants of our fate. The bartender grows weary of my fumbling quiet pleas, yet still it pours the silence as it folds along my knees. The bitter scent of alcohol becomes my only shield, a thin and fragile counterfeit to everything concealed. Your laughter haunts the corners of this dimly glowing room, a flicker of a distant joy that crumbled into gloom. I reach across the tabletop as though your hand were near, but all I touch is emptiness disguised as lingering fear. If longing had a heartbeat, it would tremble like the glass, a fragile vessel shaking from the storm and minutes past. I whisper to the vacant air where you once used to be, confessing every truth I drown to keep myself set free. And am I falling to the silence where your warmth once grew, a shadow of the tenderness I never proved to you? And if the night must swallow me, then let it take my name, for all that's left is longing in this cold, unsteady flame. Strike these walls and wash away my sin. A drunken heart still calling for the place it once lived in. Whisper to the empty room where shadows softly bend, confessing all the failures I was too afraid to mend. Your absence hangs like winter on the corners of my brow, a quiet form of punishment that lingers after death. The night recalls the tenderness I failed to understand, the moments when I should have reached instead of letting go your hand. Your voice becomes a fragile ache that trembles in my bones, a fading vow of promises collapsing into tones. And now the truth returns to me in waves I can't withstand, a storm of quiet reckoning revealed by my own hand. Remorse is all that's left of me, a weight I cannot bear, a haunting form of longing drifting through the frigid air. If time could grant forgiveness for the things I failed to do, I'd break the night wide open just to say I needed you. Your smile appears in fragments like a broken reel of light, a memory that flickers through the quietness of night. I drown in what I should have said in moments passing by, a prisoner of choices that I never learned to try. The walls absorb my whispers like they've heard it all before, the stories of a foolish man who let love cross the door. I raise a trembling glass into the trembling amber glow, a feeble act of courage for the things you'll never know. If sorrow had a compass, it would point towards your name, a path of aching revelations carved in fragile flame. I wander through the ruins of the life I should have kept, a monument to all the tears that silently I wept. Remorse, the bitter truth that grows in shadows of my past, a quiet vow that if I loved again I'd make it last. But those unspoken promises remain beyond my grasp, a ghost of love I crush myself now flickering in the clash. So let the night remind me of the cost of letting go, a quiet man alone beneath the weight he'll never show. The sky collapses slowly as the twilight starts to fray, a crimson veil dissolving in the ghost of yesterday. I chase the fading remnants of the warmth you used to give, a silent war within my chest that tells me how to live. Your voice becomes a fragile wound that echoes deep inside, a splinter of the tenderness you desperately try to hide. I reach across the emptiness where once your heartbeat lay. But all I feel is trembling where the shadows start to sway. The truth arrives like shattering across a brittle floor. 1,000 broken promises I failed to keep before. The memories unravel in a storm of hollow cries, a torrent filled with trembling vows and soft unspoken lies. I cling to fading silhouettes that flicker in the night, a futile grasp at traces that dissolve beneath the light. The moon begins to fracture down the drain. I feel the world grow distant as the darkness settles near. A final plea escaping through the cage of every tear. If sorrow had a kingdom, I would kneel upon its throne. A shattered soul surrendering to grief I've always known. But still I raise my trembling voice to call you back again. A fragile hope that tremors through the marrow of my sin. Shatter all the remnants where our destinies collide. Let every fractured heartbeat be the truth we fail to hide. If loving you destroys me, then I'll gladly break apart. For even shattered pieces still remember where to start. So let the night fall heavy as the rain begins to pour. A broken heart still reaching for the love it can't restore. I watched you from a distance where the light could barely reach, afraid my trembling heartbeat might reveal what words can teach. Your silhouette in quiet glow became my silent plea, a longing wrapped in shadows I was terrified to free. The nights grew longer as the truth kept pulling at my chest, a fire left unspoken in the places I suppressed. I tried to hide the broken rhythm pounding wanting more. You never saw the yearning buried deep beneath my tone, a fragile truth that trembled every time we walked alone. The seasons changed around me, but my longing stayed the same. A candle lit in secrecy without a claim to flame. I whispered all the words I feared into the empty air, imagining you'd hear them, though you never knew they were there. If time could bend and offer me a moment to reveal the aching truth I carried in the promises I sealed, I'd shout my heart into the sky and let its tremors rise, confessing everything I hid behind my quiet A soaring electric guitar solo begins, bending, crying, channeling the years of buried love into piercing melodic lines, like a heart finally breaking free of silence. Unspoken, I release the truth that held me bound too long, a vow of wild devotion echoing in this song. And though you may be far beyond the reach of where I stand, my heart keeps calling out to you in every trembling strand. So let the night remember what my frightened voice concealed, for even unspoken love remains a truth that can't be healed.
Your voice returns in fragments like a distant muted plea, a subtle shift in atmosphere that drifts away from me. I sense the quiet tremor in the things you do not say, a signal of departure written softly in your sway. You stand beside the window as the evening gathers blue, your silhouette unraveling like a truth I always knew. I try to bridge the silence that expands between our hands, but all I reach is distance neither one of us commands. The moment cracks so quietly I barely hear its break, a fragile truth revealing more than neither dare to take. Oh, distance, the quiet ache that grows where love once used to start, a barrier of tenderness dividing heart from heart. And though I want to hold a part of you that drifts away, I feel your fading presence slip beyond my fire.
Your smile appears in portions I can no longer decode. A fading form of kindness on an ever-widening road. The conversations falter in a soft, uneven tone. A hint that you've been learning how to walk this path alone. I trace the trembling silence where our closeness used to thrive. A place that once meant everything, but now can't stay alive. We stand inside a stillness that divides what once was true. A quiet separation born from losing sight of you. Oh, if longing could have tethered us to where we first began, I'd anchor all the memories inside a single plan. But love becomes a stranger when its warmth begins to thin. A distance held between us, neither one can step within. Distance, the truth that overtakes the love we couldn't save. A cold and gentle warning of the fate we couldn't brave. And though my heart still reaches for the spark you used to show, I let you drift away toward the life you need to know. Oh, so walk into the future where my shadow cannot land. A quiet man remaining with a trembling open hand.
The morning paints your silhouette in melancholy blue, a softened shape of longing I can no longer walk into. Your presence feels familiar, like a song I used to sing, but somewhere in its melody I lost the hope you bring.
I watch your gentle movements as you fold the fading day, a quiet resignation drifting in the things you say.
The distance between heartbeat has grown wider than we planned, a truth that leaves us trembling as we fail to understand.
Two fragile souls in shadows trying hard to reconcile the love that slowly crumbled in the spaces we define. Crossroads where our destinies unravel left and right, a moment shaped by silence in the fading winter light. We stand upon the threshold of the life we can't pursue, two stories bending softly toward a world we never knew.
Your touch becomes a relic of the warmth I used to crave, a gentle fading ember slipping quietly to its grave.
I try to hold the trembling truth within my weary skin, but every breath reminds me of the place we won't begin.
Your voice dissolves like morning dew that slips from open hands.
try to build a haven from the fractures in our souls.
But even love runs fragile when the night no longer holds. If time had given mercy, we might stand as one again.
But destiny divides us with a soft and gentle pen.
A quiet act of letting go becomes the final vow. A promise to remember what we're too afraid to allow. Crossroads where our trembling hearts accept the final turn. A tapestry of faded dreams in memory left to burn.
Though every part of us still aches to fold the distance through,
we follow different pathways shaped by truths we always knew. So let the world divide us where the lines begin to bend. For even parted lovers hold a love they cannot end.
the night descends in violent shades across the fractured sky. A storm of quiet agony I never learned to justify. Your footsteps fade like silhouettes retreating in the rain. A trembling apparition woven tightly into pain. I clutch the final remnants of the warmth you used to give. A fragile map of promises that taught me how to live. But all the roads collapse beneath the weight of what we lost. A barren field of sorrow buried deep in winter frost. The truth ignites like lightning where the shadows intertwine. A sudden revelation burning through this heart
dreamed has slipped away. Your presence feels familiar, yet impossibly remote. A fading constellation drifting far beyond my throat. We move in gentle circles that no longer intersect. A quiet choreography we didn't dare correct. Your heartbeat holds a rhythm I can no longer trace. A tempo shaped by longing in a distant, separate place. The truth arrives in silence like a tide we can't resist. A warning carved in moonlight through the distance in your fist. Drift, the sorrow of two hearts that never found their sync. A fading line of tenderness, dissolving link by link. And though I still remember how your warmth once guided me, I watch our fragile story drift beneath a nameless sea. Your voice becomes a trembling chord, too delicate to hear. A whisper born of yearning, wrapped in quietly held fear. We speak in gentle phrases that no longer seem to land. A dialogue unraveling between your trembling hand. I reach toward the space where your affection used to bloom, but only feel the emptiness expanding through the room. The closeness we once nurtured now escapes without a trace. A fragile form of tenderness dissolving into space. If love had held us steady in a single faithful stride, we'd walk a path unbroken where our lonely hearts collide. But fate designed our movements with a fractured drift and spin. A map of fading miracles we failed to settle in. Drift, the final consequence of stories left untold. A quiet separation shaped by hearts that lost their hold. And though I walk away with pieces of the love we knew, I bless the fading version of the life I had with you. So let the currents carry us to destinies apart, two souls forever drifting with a tenderness of heart. The morning folds like parchment as the sunlight starts to thin. A fragile sign that endings gently settle from within. Your presence feels familiar, like a dream I can't retain. A tender spark of destiny dissolving in its strain.
I watch the subtle distance blooming softly in your eyes. A signal of the parting shaped by unspoken goodbyes. We stand inside a silence where our futures fall apart. A quiet revelation echoed in inside my heart.
reach across the emptiness that neither one can fill. Two trembling souls surrendering to destiny's own will. Fate bound, a love that held its glow but couldn't find its way. A fragile constellation fading bittersweetly gray. Though every part of us still longs for what we used to be, we walk along diverging paths dictated by the sea. Your touch becomes a fleeting warmth that melts before it lands. A truth that draws new boundaries neither one of us commands. I hold your gaze a moment as the world begins to blur. A quiet vow of tenderness I'll never reoccur.
Your voice vibrates like gentle rain that falls without intent.
A rhythm shaped by sorrow neither one of us prevent.
I memorize the softness lingering upon your face.
A final act of gratitude before we lose our place.
If time had shaped our destinies with closer, tender thread,
we'd walk as one instead of chasing futures filled with dread.
but still we honor everything
Our trembling hearts have shown.
Two lovers bound by fate, yet meant to face their lives alone.
Fate bound, the quiet tragedy of hearts that couldn't stay.
A solemn form of beauty woven gently through the fray.
And though the world may scatter all the things we tried to prove, we carry forth the remnants of our once unbroken love. So let the parting guide us where our destinies ascend.
Two stars
Aligned in tenderness, then drifting at the end. The dawn unfolds in muted tones that settle on my skin. A quiet sign that everything must end where we begin. Your smile becomes a distant hymn that drifts beyond my hold. A fragile trace of tenderness the morning can uphold. We walk along the storyline already meant to break. A tale composed of promises our hearts could barely make. Your voice a fleeting whisper carved in ever-fading light reminds me of the moment slipping softly out of sight. The truth has always lingered in the corners of our space, a warning shaped by destiny we never learned to face. each one a gentle testament to time we once had spent. Your touch becomes a fading spark that flickers in my chest, a tremor of a fragile hope that never came to rest. I feel the quiet distance blooming softly in your gaze, a gentle resignation shaped by all our parted ways. Your presence once ignited every corner of my heart, but now it drifts like stardust slipping quietly apart. If love were carved in marble, we might stand the test of fate, but ours was made of trembling threads that time could separate. I breathe the truth that settles where your memory has lain, a soft and sorrowed clarity that whispers through the strain. Foreseen a story woven with a fragile aching thread, a symphony of longing echoing in things unsaid. And though I still remember how your kindness shaped my view, I'll walk the path that destiny has drawn away from you. So let the morning carry us where futures are untied, for even broken lovers learn to drift with changing tide.
Your footsteps cross the evening like a memory in bloom, a quiet sail away dissolving through the gentle gloom. I watch the fading remnants of the warmth we used to trace, a fragile glimpse of destiny we never learned to face. Our voices once were parallel, like lines that almost touched, a fleeting taste of harmony that lingered far too much. But somewhere in the drifting hours we lost the means to stay, two trembling hearts misaligned along a separate way. The truth grows ever clearer as the seasons intertwine, a love that might have flourished in a different place or time. Misaligned, we drifted past the tenderness we knew, a gentle misconnection that we never meant to rue. Though our hands once trembled with the hope of holding tight, we walked along diverging paths disguised as what was right. Your voice returns in fragments like a soft and distant plea, a haunting hymn of everything you meant to be for me. But we were shaped by destinies that never matched our stride, a quiet form of heartbreak neither one of us could guide. I trace the empty corners where our stories tried to land, a map of fading promises that slipped from either hand. The world kept turning softly while we fell out of embrace, a gentle separation neither one of us could chase. If fate had drawn our timelines with a steadier perhaps we'd share the dawn instead of crossing something line. But we remain the aftermath of choices left behind, a tale of fleeting tenderness that couldn't stay aligned. Misaligned, yet still I hold the echoes of your name, a quiet torch that flickers in the remnants of our flame. And though the future leads us far beyond the love we missed, I'll honor what we almost were in every breath and twist. So let the night grow silent as the world begins to spin. For some love shine the brightest in the lives they never win.
Unfolds like winter mist upon the fading glass, a fragile sign of tenderness we struggle to surpass. We walk beside each other yet remain a world apart, two threads that never entwine despite a longing heart. I reach into the quiet space where your emotions hide, a region built of silence I could never occupy. Your eyes convey a universe too distant to explore, a place where love grows quietly but never asks for more. The truth becomes a compass pointing where we cannot go, two separate destinations carved in one unbroken flow. Parallel, our footsteps trace a line of bittersweet, a love that walks beside itself but never comes to me. And though I try to gather all the pieces of your life, the stars have drawn our boundaries too far from shared delight. Your voice becomes a soft refrain that trembles in the dusk, a lingering uncertainty wrapped gently in its husk. I chase the fading silhouette of what we used to be, but every time I reach for you, you drift away from me. The closeness that we tried to form dissolves in a restless air, a map of fractured harmony dividing everywhere. The tenderness between us grows in quiet fractured lines, a story shaped by distance, no matter how love shines. If destiny had drawn our paths in curves that overlap, we'd find a way to weave ourselves in one unbroken map. But still we walk in symmetry that separates our side, two parallel devotions fading softly out of light. Parallel, the longing echoes where our futures lie, a melancholy promise drifting
the sky. And though I'll always cherish what our trembling hearts pursued, I honor what we couldn't be in solemn gratitude. Remember all the dreams we couldn't tell. Two hearts forever wander along a line parallel. Trace of tenderness dissolving into sleep. I walk the path we almost shared, though never truly knew. A road that shaped a quiet ache between myself and you. Your laughter once ignited all the hours we almost made, but every spark diminished in the distance where it swayed. The truth arrives in whispers that resemble summer rain, a melancholy blessing washed in gentle aching pain. Unmade, the story of a love we never held too tight, a fragile constellation that collapsed before the night. If fate had pulled us closer when our trembling hearts first stirred, we might have woven promises from every spoken word. The autumn wind grows heavy with the remnants of your tone, a quiet echo of the world we fear to call our own. Your eyes were always drifting toward a future I can't chase, a portrait left unfinished in the shadows of my place. We stood like two horizons, drawing near but never met, a pair of distant silhouettes the evening won't forget. The choices that we failed to make now linger in the air, a testament to tenderness that vanished unaware. If longing had a color, it would shimmer like the dusk, a fragile blend of fading gold and sorrow laced with trust. I gather all the pieces of the life we never knew, a relic of a story left unfinished between me and you. Unmade, the gentle tragedy of hearts that couldn't stay, a quiet vow of tenderness now drifting far away. And though the night remembers what our voices never said, the love we failed to build remains a dream forever fled. So let the world continue with the futures we betrayed, for some loves are remembered best in more
words of our story flutter weakly in the breeze. A fragile book of tenderness composed of memories. Your voice becomes a fleeting note that drifts beyond my view. A fading chord of promises we never fully grew. I hold the quiet moments that we shaped with careful grace. But every line we tried to write dissolved without a trace. The ink of our intentions couldn't anchor what we planned. A truth that slipped between us like a river through our hand. The ending had been written long before we even met. A destiny of separation none of us could reset. Unwritten, the love we tried to hold but couldn't bind. A scattered form of tenderness abandoned to the wind. If time had offered courage where our trembling hearts withdrew, perhaps we'd shape a future with a different shade of blue. Your eyes were always distant, like a star beyond my reach. A lesson carved in silence that no words could ever teach. I read between the tremors of your half-abandoned smile and learn the truth that lingered in your gaze a fragile while. We faded like a promise left unfinished in the cold. A quiet truth of loneliness we both refused to hold. The fragments of our memories now flicker faint and dim. A song of gentle sorrow drifting softly at the brim. If love had dared to write itself upon our trembling skin, it would have formed a symphony too delicate to win. But we remain a chapter never carved in ink or stone. A fleeting thought of tenderness that couldn't stand alone. Unwritten, the shifting lines of everything we knew. A fragile, solemn testament to what we couldn't do. And though the night still murmurs with the ghosts of me and you, I'll walk into the silence shaped by truth I can't undo. So let the story scatter in the wind that draws apart. For some unspoken endings still leave fingerprints on the heart.
Descends in muted blue and settles on my skin. A fragile trace of memories that whisper where you've been. I hold the unanswered question in the hollows of my chest. 1,000 silent reasons I could never manifest. Your footsteps linger faintly in the corridors of thought. a distant recollection of the solace that you brought. I try to hide my trembling heart behind a careful guise, but every breath betrayed me as I drowned beneath your eyes. Now I feel the truth unravel in a breathless fall, a breaking wave of longing echoing against the wall. Regret, the word that carves a hollow through the remnants of my soul, a punishment for love I failed to nurture into whole. If time could bend its fragile spine and lead me back to you, I'd cast aside my cowardice to prove my heart was true. The morning grows unsteady as I walk the narrow lane, a pathway filled with shadows of the choices that remain. I hear your distant laughter like a dream I left behind, a fleeting spark of tenderness still haunting in my mind. The truth becomes a mirror where I see my faults unveiled, a chronicle of secrets where my bravery had failed. You were the light I couldn't hold, the warmth I couldn't keep, a story filled with promises I left inside the deep. If sorrow were a kingdom, I'd be kneeling at its gate, a pilgrim asking mercy for the sins that sealed his fate. I'd tear apart the sky itself to call your name once more, to tell you I was drowning long before you left the door. Regret, the fire that burns relentlessly inside my chest, a consequence of silence when my truth was unexpressed. If destiny allows a vow beyond the pain I feel, I'll shout the love I swallowed with a voice that learns to heal. So let the world remember all the tears I can't forget, for every step I take is weighted by regret. Your shadow falls like winter rain across my quiet chest, a memory revisited in moments I confess. You were the light that carried me through nights I couldn't bear, a whisper of salvation I abandoned unaware. I reach into the fading mist where once your laughter shone, a fragile spark of tenderness that kept me from the storm. But I can feel the parting in the tremor of your voice. solemn promise we can no longer make a choice. The truth arrives like sunrise breaking through reluctant skies. A gentle, painful clarity that fills my open eyes. Release the vow I tried to keep, though it was never meant to stay. A quiet act of mercy as I watch you walk away. If loving you means holding on to something I can't save, I'll open both my trembling hands and set you free with grace. Silence grows between us like a bridge that's come undone. A fracture built by choices neither one of us outrun. Your warmth once filled the spaces where my loneliness would creep. A harbor for the wounded heart I guarded in my sleep. But now your eyes look past me as they search for brighter days. A future I can offer in the remnants of our haze. So let the final moment fall like petals in the rain. A quiet resignation twined with bittersweet refrain. If destiny once tied us with a ribbon made of light, it loosens in the trembling air that separates the night. I whisper one last promise as I step into the cold, to cherish all the love we shared, though we no longer hold. Release the single word that carries every fragment of goodbye. A fragile cry of tenderness beneath the fractured sky. Though losing you is breaking parts of me beyond repair, I free you with the softness of a love too deep to bear. So let the winds deliver you to where your heart belongs. I'll carry on in silence with the memory of quiet truth of you inside my guarded chest. A fragile vow concealed beneath the words I never pressed. Your smile became the lantern guiding every fractured day. A gentle flame that warmed the paths where all my shadows lay. The seasons passed uncounted while I watched you from afar, a solitary witness to the brilliance that you are. I kept my trembling heart behind a veil of quiet fragile longing would disturb your peaceful space. But now the silence burdens me with memories that ache, a tide of unvoiced promises I'm terrified to break. Remain the love that never vanished, even when you walked away, a gentle vow that lingers in the corners of each day. If courage had a moment carved in time for me to claim, I'd speak the truth I swallow just to whisper your sweet name. Your presence once was comfort in the hours steeped in cold, a steady beam of tenderness my weary soul could hold. Yet I remained a silent storm of yearning left unstirred, a man too lost to recognize the weight of every word. I searched for all the fragments of the life we never touched, a chronicle of might have beens I cherish far too much. Your voice returns in memories with bittersweet refrain, a trace of something beautiful I couldn't dare sustain. If I could carve a single plea upon the fading light, I'd beg the past for mercy as it tumbles into night. And when the world grows quiet with the shadows in my mind, I pray the love I carried will remain for you to find. Remain a timeless vow of devotion that my heart could not outgrow, a fire burning softly in the winter's silent glow. Though life may draw a boundary neither one of us can cross, I'll hold this love within me as the game behind the So let the daylight dimmer and the seasons rearrange, for even in the shifting winds my love for you remains. Your name ignites the embers in the corners of my chest, a flame that never faltered, though my heart could find no rest. I try to chase the daylight through the shadows of your trace, yet every dawn returned me to the longing in your face. I carried all the tenderness you never came to know, a quiet storm of yearning that refused to lose its glow. Your absence carved a hollow where my trembling secrets bled, a cavern filled with echoes of the words I left unsaid. Now every breath I take becomes a battle to contain, the wildfire of emotion burning violently through promise I silently betrayed. Your laughter drifted upward like a song I couldn't hold, a melody of what we lost in stories left untold. I knelt before the remnants of the vows I never spoke, a pilgrim of a passion that the years refused to choke. Your memory remained a vow I etched beneath the scar, a witness to the quiet truth of who we truly are. If love demands a sacrifice, then take the breath I own. Let every whispered heartbeat prove the strength I've never shown. I'll tear apart the twilight with the truth I can't contain, that losing you forever is a never-ending pain. Scarlet, the bleeding edge of yearning that no distance can erase, a firestorm of destiny still burning in your place. And though the world may lead you far beyond where I remain, my heart will bear your color in a scarlet endless stain. So let the seasons wander and the daylight shift apart, your name will burn in scarlet on the canvas of my heart. I watched you through the quiet days where sunlight kissed your face, a tender spark I buried deep in shadows I embraced. Your laughter shaped the morning like a song I never claimed, a melody that trembled through the void I left unnamed. I kept the truth in silence where my heartbeat learned to hide, a timid flame that flickered in the hollows of my pride. Your eyes became the lanterns that could guide me through the night, yet I remained a wanderer, avoiding all your light. But every stolen moment struck a chord I couldn't drown, a tidal wave of longing pulling every fortress down. Unspoken, the love I carried burning in my chest, a wildfire of yearning I could never manifest. If I could turn the time back to the day you passed me by, I'd break the walls inside me just to tell you why I tried. The seasons change around us, yet my heart refused to shift, a prisoner of memories I never dared to lift. Your kindness was the only thing that kept my doubts at bay, while I stood frozen, watching as you slowly walked away. Now every step I take becomes a question in the wind, a haunting hymn of chances buried deep within my sin. I ache with what I never said, with all I failed to prove.
and silver light across the room we knew, a distant glow of memories that once were carved in you. I walk through fading footprints where our laughter used to lie, a quiet archive of a love that couldn't justify. Your voice returns in fragments like a song from distant years, a melody that shimmers through the shadows of my fears. I gather all the remnants of the life we tried to claim, a solemn recollection shaped by tenderness and blame. The truth unfolds before me with a slow, relentless grace, a revelation whispered from the tears upon my face. After time, the echo of a love that shaped the marrow of my bone, a bittersweet reflection left to wander on its own. Though everything has ended in the chapters we outgrew, the story still remembers every breath I spent with you. I feel the weight of absence where your heartbeat used to rest, a space that once was sanctuary and now an empty chest. Yet even in the hollow there's a warmth that lingers still, a testament to love's design that time cannot distill. The world will keep on turning as our destinies divide, two parallel existences no longer intertwined. But even in the quiet where your footsteps disappear, I sense the gentle phantom of the days you once stood near. If I could shape a final vow upon the fading light, I'd promise to remember you beyond the dying night. And when the dawn awakens what we left inside the past, I'll face the aftertime alone with strength I couldn't grasp. After time, a monument of love that lives in places we can't tread, a lingering devotion carved in every tear I shed. Though you and I have parted in the rhythm of the years, your name remains the compass guiding sorrow through my So let the daylight carry me toward futures undefined. For even in the aftertime, your memory is entwined. I carried every word of you in silence far too long, a fragile truth imprisoned in the corners of my song. Your voice became the compass that I followed through the dark, a trembling constellation burning wildly in my heart. I hid the fire inside me where the fear
refuse to fade. A quiet storm of longing in the shadows I had made. But every time you smiled at me, the world began to shake. A fragile pulse of destiny, too powerful to break. Now all the buried moments catch like lightning in my breath. A truth demanding freedom, though it terrifies me death. Break through the love I held in shadows, torn apart by rising flame. A storm of aching honesty, now screaming out your name. If courage grants a moment where my heart can speak anew, I'll tear the world wide open just to stand confess to you. Your presence always lingered in the corners of my doubt. A gentle vow reminding me what life was all about. Yet I remain the ghost of love I never dared to show. A wanderer of memories, refusing still to grow. But now the trembling quiet shatters under rising drums. A reckoning of passion that no hesitation numbs. My heartbeat pounds like thunder as I step into the flame. A man reborn in fire who no longer hides your name. If I could freeze the moment when your eyes collide with mine, I'd carve the truth in starlight with a vow that feels divine. And when the world awakens with the fear I must push through, I'll find the strength within me to confess I needed you. Breakthrough, the final cry of longing bursting upward from the deep. A firestorm of years untold, awaken from its sleep. If destiny remembers how my heart was shaped by you, then let this breakthrough carry all the love I never knew. So let the echoes tremble through the sky that splits in two. For this is how the truth erupts when I break through to you. You enter like a comet tearing through my quiet sky. A brilliant force of radiance I never could deny. Your presence struck the air with heat my heart could barely hold. A violent spark of destiny, too powerful and bold. I tried to walk beside you, but the gravity was strong. A pull that drew me into you where everything felt wrong. Your eyes became the wildfire that consumed what I once knew. A storm of aching hunger I could never turn into. Now every breath is trembling with a truth I cannot tame. A clash of longing detonating deep within my flame. Collision, the moment that our broken hearts collided in that cry for meaning in a world I can't reclaim. Your shadow flickers endlessly against my aching chest, a phantom made of longing I can neither kill nor rest. I stand upon the threshold where our destinies diverged, a battlefield of tenderness that never fully surged. I feel the remnants burning in the spaces where you passed, a symphony of sorrow that was never meant to drifted past, a fragile vow unspoken in the moments fading fast. Your presence was the only light that kept the dark at bay. Yet still I failed to tell you what my trembling heart would say. I watched you chase the morning with a hope I couldn't claim, a distant star I follow without speaking of my flame. And every time you smiled at me, I felt the truth ignite, a fire I never dared to show, concealed from every side. Now all the wasted chances echo loudly in my chest, a weight that crushes every breath I struggle to confess. Was the melody my heart refused to lose, a gentle chime of tenderness that helped my soul refuse. But I remain the coward who could never cross the line. mine will keep on breaking with the love I can't confess. I saw you in the corner where the fading daylight fell, a ghost of all the memories my heart remembers well. Your smile returned like winter sun on frost that never melts, a tender warmth reminding me of everything I felt. You spoke with quiet laughter I had once believed was mine, a gentle tone that twisted every heartbeat into line. I tried to hide the trembling in the shadows of my breath, a truth that ripped me open like a wound untouched by death. The moment cracked in silence as I faced the unrelieved. A future built without me, more than I could have believed. Departed, the love that once defined me now belongs to someone new, a distant fading melody I can no longer pursue. The part of me still reaches for the warmth we used to share. I stand beside the remnants of a truth I can't repair. Your gaze was full of tenderness I knew was not for me, a quiet revelation too immense to set me free. I felt the years collapse into a single fragile sigh, a silent understanding that our story passed me by. I try to form a sentence from the aching in my soul, but every word betrayed the truth I barely could control. You looked at me with kindness, soft, familiar, bittersweet, a mercy undeserved for one who lost the final beat. If time had given mercy for the chances we ignored, we navigate the darkness to the love we once adored. But destiny has chosen paths that never realign. Two stories moving forward, yours no longer intertwined. Departed, a vow I failed to nurture, drifting far beyond my reach. A gentle form of heartbreak life continues now to teach. Though I may walk in shadows where your memory remains, I bless the world that healed you from our long forgotten pains. So let the twilight carry you to future calm and bright. I'll hold the faded version of your love throughout the night. Depart